Hello, good night. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharp. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Tonight, I just want to focus on questions. So, hi there, Baba. It's nice to see you. Hi there, Sina. It's nice to see you. Hi there, Dwayne. It's nice to see you. Hi, Annie. Thanks for joining. Bala, it's nice to see you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your time tonight. Jesse Bulbs, hi there. Annie, nice to see you. Samuel, I'm good. I'm good, Baba. I am good. I'm holding on. I hope you're doing the same. All right. So thanks so much for joining. I want to focus on questions tonight. What the latest news I have seen, Court of Appeals has now said that the Trump administration can go forward with TPS, terminating TPS for Central Americans and Nepal. So that's the bad news. There's also an additional, in addition to the changes we saw previously with the good moral character change in citizenship applications, we're also now seeing where they're going to be screening for anti-Americanism. So anti-Americanism, what they have stated is they're looking at anything that is they're going to be looking for things like anti-Semitism, anything, and I would go to the extent of saying, it could even involve who knows what. It's so subjective. Anti-Americanism, what does that mean? What exactly does that mean? But based on the patterns of this administration, what I can tell you is it's going to focus on anti-Americanism, is going to include uh, anti, their perceived anti-Semitism, as well as criticism of the administration, anything political, expressions of support for certain governments that may not be at war with the United States, but the US may be in disagreements with them, for example, China. Um, and so any social media postings, public, if you've spoken publicly about these things, if you have YouTube channels, or you are talking on social, in any public platform where they can find that information, find any hints of that, they may categorize that as anti-Semitism. So um, we have just another thing in addition to basically submitting uh, an application for citizenship, highlighting, not necessarily focusing on the fact that you haven't committed crimes, but now focusing on all the good you've done and the constructive things you've done in the United States. You also have to keep in mind that your freedom of speech is at stake here. I I can see a challenge to this, because what does anti-Americanism mean? It's vague. And is it attacking our freedom of speech? It is. I can tell you that if one is entitled to their opinions, and it does not necessarily amount to any kind of national security threat. But if it's categorized as anti-American, then in that case, you could be denied benefits that you qualify for. And it goes right back to, we have the right to speak freely and to have opinions and to be able to criticize the government. So we have to see what that's about. How was Cape Town? I loved it. I loved South Africa. And, going there, I learned so much history, but I also learned about apartheid as a child. I remember being in Jamaica, and in Jamaica was very much behind the anti-apartheid movement. I remember very clearly as a child watching movies on it and just being so touched. I was very young, but it made an impression on me from I was very young. And so going there, it brought back all those memories. And then it was very inspirational looking at these people, the anti people who fought the apartheid in South Africa. These were, many of them were children. They had the courage to stand up and fight against oppression. Many of them lost their lives at the hands of police and still move forward. So it was a very, very inspirational trip. And it definitely gave me strength to know that if kids, I mean, I know adults definitely played a part in this, the most famous one being Mandela. But what struck me most was these young kids my son's age. My son is 12, were marching and fighting for their right, their God-given right, knowing that they could lose their lives. I mean, there is nothing more courageous than that. And if they can do that, why can't I do my job to change lives and to inspire hope in others and advocate for my clients? So it was very inspirational, motivational, going there. And I got to bring my son too, so he got to be exposed to that history and to learn about those experiences, and that can be valuable for a child. So thank you for allowing me to share that with you. All right, so now I'm gonna ask questions because I know that's you want your questions answered. So let's go ahead. I'm going to start on Instagram today. So put your questions in the comments. I already see some. So let me. Um, my dad's just sent back his green card for abandonment. So if your father is outside of the United States and he went to the embassy and surrendered his green card, and then he has to fill out a specific form saying that he's surrendering his green card, then that would explain why he sent back his green card. But if your dad needs further advice, he definitely needs to call us. If he surrendered it, though, he can apply for his visa, but at the point where he signed it over, he's going to have to start all over again to get his green card. I'm married, want to get divorced, and married someone else to apply for the green card. What to expect? Give us a call. Sinner, God blessed. Give us a call because we want to evaluate your options here. Um, Keep in mind that there are going to be some red flags, and divorcing somebody to remarry very quickly and then file the papers can cause a red flag. So we want to hear what your circumstances are and determine if that's the best course of action for you, because now they're red flagging a lot of circumstances and multiple marriages. And if you've applied in those multiple marriages, that can raise questions that can complicate your case if you're not careful. So definitely talk to us. Let's evaluate this carefully and make sure that's the right move for you. Uh, Good night. Should an I-130 take more than 6.5 years to approve, filed by LPR no citizen? If you are in a category that takes very long, so if you're it sounds like LPR, so it sounds like you would be the son or daughter of a LPR, no, a citizen age 21 or older, that process takes 5 to 7 years. So, well, to get the priority date, 5 to 7 years, I yes, I can see an I-130 taking that long if you're in a category that takes long. Can I apply again for his tourist visa? I'm still a green card holder. He can apply for his tourist visa. So, of course, he would have to apply for his tourist visa. That's possible. But now he has to show strong ties to his home country, because they want to make sure now he's no longer a green card holder. They want to make sure he has more ties in his country than in the US. Can F1 visa holder marry green card holder? If so, how much time will it take to get converted to a green card? Yes, actually, I would say that I don't know your situation. This is where you need to get help. You can always call us to help you with this process. But I would say, in the case you're marrying a green card holder, this is the best case scenario. This is the best case scenario for that, because you have current visa status, so you're not out of status. So you can wait. You have time to wait for the priority date to become current. That priority date can become current in 9 months to maybe a little over a year. And once it becomes current and you're still on F1 visa status, you could submit the adjustment of status application while being here and get your work permit. Even while you're on the F1 now, because you're going through adjustment of status, you'd be able to get um, your work permit while you go through the marriage-based process. So I would say the best case scenario, if your spouse is a US citizen, is to have a status that you're in status and you can have it for a while. So you have that status for a few years, maybe if you're H-2B or if you're H-1B or if you're on a student visa, those would be ideal to marry an LPR and then adjust status eventually because you have the time. But if you're undocumented and you apply, you're here in the US, you overstayed, then you're at risk. I'll tell you right now, you are at serious risk for getting a notice to appear because you filed a petition, and this is where it's very nuanced, so you have to pay attention here. But the reason why that presents a high risk for notice to appear is because you're not able to qualify for adjustment of status right away. So actually, you won't qualify for adjustment of status at all. So the immigration officer could review your I-130 and they could say, oh, how nice. Yeah, you're married. Looks like a real marriage. Everything looks good. I-130 is approved. But guess what? I-130 is approved, but we don't see an adjustment of status application, and they would never qualify for an adjustment of status application because they've already overstayed. So I-130 approved, and you get a notice to appear in immigration court because you need to go back to your country and do it from there. You can finish out the rest of your process in your country, right? This is what they will say, and they will issue a notice to appear. And so that is why. Now, here's the difference. If you're married to a US citizen, I want you to be able to see the distinction here. If you're married to a US citizen, you just have to make sure you submit a solid application from the start. Because the adjustment of status application is there to say you get temporary protection as long as you qualify for it. So two things you have to make sure you're doing. You have to make sure you fit within the category that qualifies for adjustment of status. And you have to make sure you submit a solid application with everything. You're meeting all the procedural and documentary requirements from the start. The reason being, the officer, I'm going to explain this to you with two examples. The officer is evaluating your marriage-based case. You've overstayed your visa, you're married to a US citizen, you file your I-130, your adjustment of status application, you make sure you file your medical, your sealed medical, your affidavit of support. You also apply for your work permit and your travel document. Officer looks at it, everything looks good, affidavit of support checks out, you meet all the requirements. You are married to a US citizen, you've overstayed, but you're married to a US citizen, that looks fine. You qualify for adjustment of status because you're the immediate relative of a US citizen. Okay, officer says, looks good. I'm just gonna do an interview, make sure everything checks out, and I'll go ahead and approve it. So say you do interview, approved, everything done correctly. Now, let's give an example of a situation that can go left really quick. So say you are married to a US citizen, you've overstayed though. It's okay. You've overstayed, you're the immediate relative of a US citizen, you still qualify for adjustment of status. But you don't know, you didn't know that you could apply for adjustment of status. So you go ahead and you apply for the I-130 petition without attaching the adjustment of status, right? So the officer looks it over, says, great, okay, immediate relative of US citizen, everything checks out, they have a bona fide marriage, great, approved. But wait, where's the adjustment of status application so that I can adjudicate this in the United States and give them the green card in the United States? There's no adjustment of status. All right, no adjustment of status. They just filed a petition. Guess what? Let me send that notice to appear because they've overstayed and I don't see an adjustment of status. So I'm not making a decision on their green card in the US. So it gives them the space, it gives them a gap to send that notice to appear because you've overstayed. The adjustment of status application would have helped to give you that temporary protection while your petition was being processed. So I hope that that explains how that works. But this is where I say, don't go it alone. Make sure you're getting legal advice because it would be really, really tragic to get a notice to appear. Because once you get a notice to appear, guys, there's no going backwards. Now you are in immigration court, you are defending against deportation. It gets a lot more stressful. So do it right from the get-go and it will be fine. So that's very important what I explained to you. So make sure you get legal advice for your particular situation so you know you qualify and you do it correctly. All right. I'm a J1 teacher with asylum and U visa pending. Do I still need a waiver for my 212E? So asylum, not necessarily. The U visa, maybe because you technically you are inadmissible based on the 2-year foreign residential requirement. But here's what I say, and I'm not your attorney. I don't know your facts, but with my clients, if you have a 2-year foreign residential requirement, we just apply for it to be waived regardless, to make sure we're covering our clients back. Uh, thank you so much. This is good information for everybody. Thank you for that. Cameroon, any information on the TPS? So I haven't, the court order did not include anything about TPS for Cameroon. So I don't have any information on that. I'd have to look it up. How long it take for my husband to file for me? I'm back in Jamaica, please. I would say 2 years. Prepare for a 2-year process because first you have to wait for the petition to be approved. That's going to take about a year. And then after that, you have to wait. It's going to be sent to the NVC and they go through a processing period before they schedule the interview. That takes another 2 years. So, yeah. I'm fast approaching 5 months since filing, and only thing I received is a receipt notice. How long will the EAD take to come? It depends on what you're applying for. EADs can range from 3 months to 6 months to 12 months to even a little over 12 months. So it just depends on what you're applying for. Got EAD approval 6 weeks now, but USCIS said card failed to produce. I have never seen that before. And so I guess did they give you an explanation? Give them a call to find out what does that mean exactly? Because if you're approved for it, can they just try again? I've never seen that before. Can I call you after this? You can call 24/7. We have the intake team that answers the phones 24 hours a day. You can call anytime. How long does it take to hear from USCIS for approval? If it's marriage based, expect a year and a half for the marriage based process. I need help, please. Can you help me? So go ahead and send your information via the DM, and we will definitely give you a call and give you assistance. This is regarding so don't put your information in the chat. Please make sure you're sending it via DM. We want to make sure we're also protecting information and that it's confidential, because everything you do with us is confidential. Your call to us is confidential. Anything you give us is confidential. If I got married to a US citizen and was filed for and came up and left before a year and got divorced, now I want to file for citizenship, how will this affect me? So, it depends on what kind of green card did you get. Did you get 2-year green card? Did you get your 10-year green card? Give us a call. Let's talk about the best course forward. Because we want to make sure you qualify for citizenship and that everything went well. We want to know what steps you should take. Hey, have a notice of immigrant visa case creation from NVC approved. I-130, how much time they need to give the visa? So you'd be scheduled for an interview. I would say, it could be a year and a half to 2.5 years. That's on average what I'm seeing right now. How long after biometrics will EAD and travel authorization be ready for VAWA? So I would say 6 to 12 months after filing. I filed my husband's I-130 last year, May. Is it too late to submit a K3? So, the K3, let me tell you, no, I would say it doesn't hurt to file it, but in all my years of practicing, the marriage-based case comes through before the K. So it's not going to speed up the process. It was designed to do that, but I've not seen it work. Not to say that won't work for you. I still file it, but I've always seen the marriage-based process go forward before the K3 visa. 10-year green card. So you have the 10-year green card as long as you qualify for citizenship. I'd say this, if you got the green card, came up to your spouse mistreated you, you have a right to divorce. You did not sign a contract to remain with your spouse for life. But just make sure you document everything. But you had your 10-year green card, you divorced, you've lived a productive life here, I'm assuming, here in the United States, and you deserve citizenship. But get in touch with us because they are looking at all different factors right now in citizenship. So you want to make sure you come forth with information that can highlight the positives and take away from the negatives, because yes, they are looking at the holistic picture, meaning they'll have questions about that divorce. They may have questions about it. And we'd have to know more about your background to determine whether there's anything else. So give us a call. You deserve citizenship, and we want to see you get it. So give us a call, talk to us, and let's go from there. If I remarry to another citizen, is it going to be okay to apply for the green card? It depends on what the circumstances of the remarriage was. So we need to talk to you, because what's the situation? Did you marry somebody else, file papers? Did that fail? I know you're marrying another citizen. That's gonna definitely be a huge red flag. And you, not to say that it can't happen. I've had clients where, we've had situations like that and they got approved. But what are the facts, that will help us to further evaluate what how to best move forward with that. Rock of Gibraltar, you're welcome. I'm on student visa and currently on OPT. What's the best option for me? I just have OPT until April 2026. So in these cases, you should explore possibly having an employment-based petition or H-1B visa filed for you as a follow-up to the OPT. So those may be options available. And then other options, it really depends on who are you related to, what are your circumstances and facts to determine what to do moving forward. Can a person who got their green card through marriage and has been divorced remarry their new spouse before the 5 years waiting? Can a person who got their green card through marriage and has divorced remarry their new spouse before the 5 years waiting time and then petition for the spouse after the 5 years? So I believe if you do get married within those 5 years, that's an interesting question. But I would say here, if you got married within those 5 years, after, it's still going to raise a red flag, and it's still going to cause them to um, reopen the case. I really think the safe bet would be to get married after. But keep in mind, I'm not your attorney. I can't give you legal advice specifically. And so this is where you definitely need to talk to us, and let's evaluate this in more detail. But the more cautious thing to do would be to make that time pass before you do anything. Um, can my asylee wife apply for me as a derivative even though I have a pending? Yes. So if your wife is an asylee already, she got approved, you can then be her derivative. If I got divorced and then remarried, but keep in mind that yeah, you can be a derivative. If I got divorced, then remarried and started a filing for my husband now, will that be questionable? It depends on when you got, that's a good question, and it depends on when you got divorced. I mean, when you got divorced and when you got remarried, that's going to play a very important role. And what they have specified in the policy manual is yes, they are looking at previous marriages, multiple marriages to ask questions. So, um, yeah, now keep in mind, here's another surprising fact that people may not know is that infidelity can disqualify you. That has always been the case. Infidelity can also disqualify you from citizenship. So if, say, your documentation shows that maybe you had a child outside of your marriage, or that you somehow it shows in some way or form that there was some infidelity, then they may question your good moral character. So that's also something to watch out for, especially now that they've expanded their review to be holistic for the good moral character. If I got divorced and then remarried and started a filing for my husband now, will that be, so I answered that, is it possible to have a U visa if my roommate is not paying rent on time and is under investigation for theft? Um, so theft, that kind of theft may not fall under the U visa. So it's not any crime, it's certain crimes. And it has to have an effect of abusing you physically or mentally. What if I didn't get the H1? What's the other option and how to get it? So there are many options, and one or more might work for you. We'd have to understand your situation to decide whether there are other options available. How long does it take when a stepdad is filing for their stepchild who is 11 years old abroad? As I prepare for about a 2 year to a 2.5 year process. So my spouse is abusing me and I want to be remarried. So definitely get in touch with us. If your spouse is abusing you, you don't have to depend on somebody else to get your green card. You can actually go through a process called VAWA that allows you to apply for your own green card. That helps you to stop that cycle where you have to depend on somebody else. But the thing about it is, if you divorce and you remarry, remarrying disqualifies you from applying on your own. So definitely give us a call. We just got our clients right on Friday, got our clients 10-year green card in the mail from this process. Can my asylee wife apply for me as a derivative even though I have a pending VAWA case? Um, so how is it, because your asylee wife is not a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, so you wouldn't qualify for VAWA. And if you remarry, you're disqualified. So get in touch with us because something sounds iffy there. Because your asylee wife is not a citizen, but to qualify for VAWA, you have to be the spouse of a U.S. citizen. So is it a pending parent-child VAWA case, maybe? So get in touch with us. Talk and let's talk about it. Can my let's see, how long does it take when a stepdad to answer that? Um, okay, I answered it, but I don't know if you heard, but I would say a two. So if the stepdad is filing for their stepchild, it's taking about, I would say, prepare for 2 to 2.5 years if they're outside of the US. So I got divorced in June of 2023, then got remarried in July of 2023. So get in touch with us because if you got divorced within a year and then you get remarried within 5 years, that's going to raise suspicions. That's going to open up a can of worms. So definitely get in touch with us and make sure that your spouse qualifies for that before moving forward. Now, if you get citizenship, by the way, you get citizenship, they're not going to hold that against you. They still may have questions after you get citizenship and you apply for your spouse to get theirs, that's fine. But if you're a green card holder and then you get divorced and remarried within 5 years of you getting the green card, then that's going to cause them. They are supposed to deny the case that where you're petitioning for your spouse. They're supposed to deny it. And to consider approving it, you have to meet a much higher standard. You have to show that your previous marriage was real, along with your current marriage, and that can open up a can of worms because what that means is they're reopening your old case to determine whether your old marriage was real. So, we need to talk. Citizenship is might be the best route first. Any idea how long it's taken from interview to decision these days? It can take a day or it can take 4 months. Good evening. Why are we seeing VAWA approval lately? So it's, to me, it's ongoing. It's really is based on processing time. So as the time goes, my clients, each of their times are coming for a decision. How long does it take when a stepdad is filing? So I answered that. But it's going to take long. Yes, it does take long. Oh, sorry. Why we are not seeing VAWA approvals? I've gotten VAWA approvals. So I can't speak to why you're not, but I'm getting VAWA approvals. So now keep in mind it's there they are looking at applications with a different lens and they may have more questions, but we have been seeing VAWA approvals. So you're remarried and another citizen is a red flag, even when I was abused in the past relationship. Yeah, yes. Because keep in mind, it give us a call. Yeah, give us a call. Let's make sure that you're approaching this strategically. Guys, now is not the time to just jump and start submitting applications. You have to be very methodical about this now because applying and then having it backfire on you, it can result in a much more complicated situation where you get a notice to appear. So everything you have to you don't jump and apply because you think it's going to fix things. Don't try to submit 2 3 applications because you think it's going to fix things. I cannot stress enough that the people that are going to be successful here in this process are the people that have the right guidance, that have approaches strategically and carefully. That's one of the things at my law firm. You always hear me say it. I'm not a McDonald's drive-through, right? I don't run my law firm like a McDonald's drive-through because I've always recognized the need to be detail oriented, to make sure that whatever I'm submitting, it is it provides enough information for the officer, that it is a strong application. So please approach your applications in the same way, please, because it's now is a time where things are going to get a lot more complicated. Lose my passport with my visa in the USA, came back to Jamaica, apply and get turned down, never know that it would be difficult. Yeah, so it's a difficult thing right now. Um, can I divorce and get back my funding, all my money back? So why would you need your money back? So this is why I said talk to us because I don't know what money. I mean, in divorce proceedings, you can sort those issues out. But definitely get legal advice. Is the T visa approval taking longer than usual? Yes, it's getting longer. Processing times are getting longer. Thanks for giving hope. Waited 42 months so far. I'm so sorry that it's taking so long. But yes, there is hope. Have been hard on removal of conditions across the board. We're seeing cases more challenging across the board, and this is why I'm saying this is not just about undocumented immigrants. Everybody is experiencing these hard times right now. Citizens, students on student visas, people on green cards who are now trying to remove those conditions and go to 10-year green card. H-1B people are getting notices to appear. So it is overall, it's hard on everybody, and the policies have become a lot harder. All of what I was building with her. So that's for the divorce. So if you're looking at dividing your assets, that's going to be in the divorce proceeding, and talk to a family law attorney about your rights. All right. So I'm going to Instagram. Thanks. I'm on TikTok. So I was on Instagram and now thank you for all your great questions. I'm on TikTok now. So I'm going to answer some questions here. My lawyer sent asylum withdraw last October 2024 after my H-1B got approved. Why is it taking so long? Sometimes it's just the way they're operating. If my asylum dismissal and getting married to a citizen, what will be happening? If my asylum dismissal and getting married to a US citizen, what will be happening? I'm not sure what the situation is. So if your asylum got dismissed, why did it get dismissed? That would be my number one question. And yeah. So if it got dismissed, you're in a situation, your case was terminated at the court, then you need to jump on that marriage-based case ASAP. But make sure you qualify, make sure that it is the right move to make. What about T visa? So T visas right now, 22 months is the processing time. Would you recommend asking for supplement B before or after the trial? You can ask before the trial. Actually, there does not need to be a trial to ask for the supplement B. Just by cooperating alone, just by giving a statement, just by initially reporting it, you could ask for a supplement B, and this is for the U visa, by the way. I filed VAWA in 2023. I recently got I-130 receipt number, but I didn't get receipt for EAD. So I filed for VAWA in 2023, recently got I-360 receipt notice, but not EAD. That might be lagging. Sometimes they rejected the case. It's SIJS case. I'm lost there. Sorry, I lost it. Is there any chance to get the SIJS? So right now they're waiting for visa numbers to become available, but that is still available, that relief. I have to apply for work of authorization after my I-360 approved with deferred action 5 months ago. Yes. If you know, in the application, usually it will you are given the option, or when you're applying, you apply at the same time as the I-360 with the work permit. So if you didn't do that, you can do that now. Did my interview in June, no response yet. You may not be outside of processing times. My VAWA is on for more than 9 months, still no work permit. Why? So did you apply for the work permit? Did you apply for adjustment of status at the same time? That may be the issue right there. And keep in mind, VAWA work permits take 6 to 12 months, or even over 12 months. Should a person who is on asylum and going to court carry their minor child too? He's 12. That's a very, very hard question to ask, because I definitely know that the considerations there are serious. I would say I would not be able to answer that question because it's such a serious question, and we would have to take into consideration all the implications of that. So, this is where you need to talk to your lawyer about that for sure. Did my interview, so let's see. Can you speak on U visa? So the U visa is for victims of crime, a certain crime, and those crimes involve domestic violence. It could involve assault. It could include or any crimes that had resulted in your physical or mental abuse. So we would have to look blackmail counts, extortion counts as well. Kidnapping is part of it. So this is where, though there may be other kinds of crimes that may qualify that may not be on that list, but we'd have to look at the facts, look at the state statute to determine whether it qualifies. I filed my VAWA since 2022. Will I get an approval soon? I would say it's around the 3.5 year mark that those decisions are coming through. I am America. My husband from Nigeria, and I filled a visa, and the only evidence I have was wedding pictures. I always, you'll hear me say wedding pictures alone is a red flag, but if you are both living in different countries, you should show other types of evidence, right? You don't have to, you obviously you're not living together, but what are you, is your spouse sending you money? Are you sending money? Do you own property in Nigeria? Do you send each other gifts? Do you have phone records like WhatsApp? Phone records showing your conversations every single day or very often. You can use those types of evidence. If you're visiting, take more pictures to show you mingling with friends and family of your spouse. Also, affidavits from friends and family from both sides can be helpful as well. So I would say for the interview, when wedding pictures alone, red flag. And I would say for I-130, where the spouse is outside of the United States, wedding photos alone can be a red flag, especially since maybe by the time you get to the interview, it's 2 years down the line. So they should be seeing other evidence of your bona fide marriage. But yeah, just make sure you're in gathering evidence of your continued relationship, even though it's long distance. I got my I-765 status, said case was approved, rendered, and it said still being processed. I don't know. It sometimes it takes a week. I'd say about a week for them to process that. I went to the interview with my wife. My wife's American citizen is being 1 year no. My I-130 don't get approved, still no, and I-485. Do you think we should do what? So yeah, waiting a year after the interview is definitely a long time. See if you can do a case inquiry as to why it's taking so long. What are the waiting times for U visa? U visa to get a deferred action with a work permit, you're looking at about 2.5 years. T visa, I'd say now it's over 18 months, going more towards a 2 year mark to process those as well. The T visa allows for work permits while you wait. Expect those work permits around the 8 month mark after filing. I'm married to a US citizen and our marriage has lasted for 3 years. When I'm qualified for citizen, if you are still married to your spouse, you've had your green card for 3 years, and you're living in marital union with your spouse for 3 years, you could qualify now for citizenship. Get in touch with us. Let's make sure though. I'm married to a US citizen, and to that, if you're asylum dismissal and you married a citizen, what will happen? It depends on, why did they dismiss it? Um, I got so answer that, just check on the status. It might take a week for them to send it out. Uh, I'm married to a US citizen, so answer that. My wife wants me to sign an annulment, but I already filed for divorce. I'm not your attorney. I can't give you personalized legal advice, but an annulment, for example, with VAWA, if your spouse mistreated you, an annulment will disqualify you from VAWA. So the divorce would be better. Filing for divorce would be better. In case you do need to pursue relief based on mistreatment by your spouse. Did How long after divorce can I get married again? There's no real number, and it really depends on circumstances. I would need to understand timelines, status of your spouse, goal of divorce, and if you're getting married again, are you filing papers again? So we need a lot more detail there. Okay, I married a US citizen. However, I got divorced within 6 months and didn't submit any papers. Okay, so um usually if you didn't file any papers and it just didn't work out, shouldn't be a problem. But if you have concerns, that's where you definitely need to talk to us. How much time for SIG I-360 approval? So with the I-360 approval, what's happening is it really is dependent on visa numbers. And so what they're doing is they're providing bona fide determination and deferred action while you wait for those decisions to be made. We applied for February 4, 2024 for marriage-based green card. We had our interview on June 2nd, 2025. And what happened? I see. Larry. Is it Larry? Yeah, I don't see anything else though about it. Did you not get a decision yet from June? It might take 4 months, maybe even more. So if it takes more than 4 months, you can possibly do a case inquiry. I filed my VAWA since 2022, so I answered that. What if you're asked during your interview, why did you overstay your visa? And it depends on the facts. You know, one thing is what I can do is I can never tell you what to say there because I don't know you. And what I will say is, of course, it has to be based on the truth, but I don't know your circumstances to be able to tell you what to expect or, how to approach a situation. What I can say though is overstaying. Now, that question, if they ask, why did you overstay your visa? The main concern would be misrepresentation or fraud. That's possibly what they're looking at. For example, if you said, "Well, when I came, I was I was coming to stay with my spouse," uh, and that's why I overstayed because I was intending to just stay with my spouse permanently. Just by saying that, the officer could then say, well, you were not supposed to have that intention while you were coming into the country. So that's misrepresentation and fraud because when you're coming in with a visitor's visa or a temporary visa, you're supposed to be walking into this country with no intention of staying permanently. So just by admitting that, you're saying, yes, I came to overstay. That is a problem. But there are situations where you came, I've had clients who have come and they fell in love or they were just they came to visit, but over the months they stayed with their spouse, they're tired of moving back and forth. They just wanted to stay with them. And so they changed their minds and said, I want to stay and do adjustment of status here in the US. That's allowed. But if you somehow state or insinuate through your actions that you intended to overstay, that's a problem. Can an aged out F3 derivative retain PD if he becomes an F2B? It's unlikely. It's unlikely, unfortunately. I have a US visa B1, B2, but I overstay in the US. Can I marry to a green card holder? That will not solve the problem. It will not get you protection. And that's because as marrying a green card holder, you will not immediately have an immigrant visa number available to you. And because you've overstayed, you're disqualified from adjustment of status. So where that changes is if your green card holder spouse becomes a US citizen. I'm housewife and have no work history. What should I do at my citizenship interview about work history? Now, one thing I want to be make clear to you is just because that they created that list does not mean you have to meet every single thing on the list. However, you have to show that whatever you were doing, it was constructive. So, for example, you said that you were a housewife. So, obviously, you've been focusing on the home, you've been focusing on keeping things organized and taking care of your family and taking, at home, so providing support to your family. That's a full-time job in itself, right? And that's extremely constructive. So it's not to say that you have to say volunteer work check, employment history, continuous employment check. You don't have to do that. For example, what we would do for employment history is we would go ahead and put in employment housewife, housewife, and as employment, and for the years you've been doing that, if there's a gap in your employment, you put that you're the housewife. You were a housewife or a homemaker, and you put the number of years you were doing that. So don't, and this is where I say get help, because this application is not about checking all the boxes, but it's saying based on your circumstances, have you been constructive? And being a homemaker, being a housewife is definitely constructive. You can show that you are contributing to your household, supporting your family members. That's admirable as well. Can I change from T visa to tourist visa? No. My kids and I just got our 10-year green card from Marriage Base. Can I apply for my 7-year-old citizenship? So, no. So, I'm not sure. 7-year-old, you would not be, as a green card holder, you can't apply for their citizenship, because in our world, in immigration world, being a green card holder and a citizen are two different things. Um, Being a green card holder, you can't get your 7-year-old citizenship, but you can apply for your 7-year-old to get their green card. If you got it through, so yeah, definitely talk to us, because I would want to understand the situation here and exactly what your goal is. Can I change from T visa to tour? Okay, so answer that. No, you can't go from T visa to tourist visa. Can you help me come to the US? Yes, we help people come to the US, but we need to understand, how do you qualify, and giving us a call is where that's going to happen. All right, thanks everybody. And then on YouTube and Facebook, hello there. Let me see what's going on YouTube and Facebook. Hi. Thanks so much for your patience. Hi, good morning in the UK. Hi there, Karen. Nice to see you. Shanette, good night. Alan, good night. Much love and blessings to you, attorney. I appreciate you and the work you do. Thank you so much for that. Your dedication to educate and inform on immigration matters is always inspiring. Thank you for that. So hello, Attorney Sharifa. Thank you for all you do. Thank you. Thank you for that, for recognizing that. When should you expect a receipt notice if a T application submitted August 15, 2025? Thank you. So right now we're seeing 4 months, 3 to 4 months for receipt notices. So it's taking a while. It's very nerve-wracking, but we do track our packages to make sure that they are getting there. So keep that in mind. Please, when EOIR send your case back to USCIS, what does that mean? So It just depends on the circumstances, right? Because sometimes they do have to work with the USCIS on certain applications. So it may not mean much procedurally, but I'd have to get more facts. Has granted military parole in place through my daughter in June 2025. She will be 21 um, August 2026. I'm also a DACA recipient, but will expire next month. You qualify. You are likely to qualify for adjustment of status. You have parole in place that allows you to now qualify for adjustment of status. Should I still renew my DACA since I'll have a 2 month gap before applying for AOS when she turns 21? So now you're the immediate relative of a US citizen. You now have parole in place. So no, I don't, I can't tell you strategically whether you should or should not renew your DACA. What I would say is cover all your bases, go for everything you qualify for. So you have the ability to renew your DACA, renew it just as a fallback option. I'm not your attorney. I can't give you specific legal advice, but if I see multiple options that I can go for it because one may fall through, but the other may work. So um, get help and give us a call and get help to move forward with your process as well, because you want to make sure it's done properly. Because DACA recipients are also on the line if something goes wrong and if you do have a gap in your status. I filed my I-130 for my wife October 2024, and under my progress, I'm told 11 months until case decision. Is this accurate? Yeah, I would say it's about right. What's the next step after arriving in the US? You should get your green card in the mail. I'm assuming you've arrived with your green card. So if that's the case, congratulations. If you've arrived with your green card, then you've probably gotten the I-551 stamp in your passport. You're going to get the green card in the mail, and then go, if you haven't gotten the social security number, go to Social Security Administration and apply for your social security number. I did my biometrics in April 1st, 2025, and still don't get an answer yet as of yet. It depends on what the case type is, but that's not out of the ordinary for most case types. If a US citizen was married to someone to get their green card and he get divorced after 7 years and he get married 2 years after, can he file for the new spouse? Well, you're not supposed to get married just for the green card. So that it can be a big problem. And if they identify that, and then the remarriage, they can ask questions when they're petitioning for the new spouse. So get that person should definitely get legal advice to understand what implications are. But and I know some people say that it's a real marriage, but they just say like we got married, we were in a relationship and we just decided to get married and move forward with a green card, right? That's different. But if you're getting married as an arrangement to get the green card, like a payment is exchanged, that's not allowed. And that can lead to very, very, um, very severe consequences. How long is taken to receive the EAD when the BFD is approved on a T visa process? So I have seen about another 4 months after the BFD is approved. Unfortunately, is it advisable to use ChatGPT for VAWA declaration for correction of words? No, no, it's not. Use your authentic voice. Um, if for grammar, they have grammar tools. ChatGPT may be a good grammar tool to help you to correct grammar, but not to formulate your whole declaration. It's very easy to identify. You do have software that can easily identify that your declaration is AI constructed. After I-485 interview, it seemed to go well. After the officer asked our fee for both of our previous divorce decrees. Is this a good sign? Yeah, as long as you have your divorce decrees, they're valid. I would say if that's the only thing they ask for and there's nothing attached to those divorce decrees, nothing that's gonna say those divorce decrees are not valid, that could potentially be good because it's a simple RFE. They're not questioning your marriage, the bona fides of it. They just want to make sure it's legal by making sure your previous marriages were really legally terminated. If I've been living in the USA for 9 years, can I get my citizenship fast? No, it doesn't work that way. You do have to qualify for it in some way. Um, okay, it was a real marriage. Yeah. So even if it was a real marriage, it depends on the timing of the divorce, the timing of the remarriage. So he should get legal advice. I have brothers and sisters that are US citizens. Can any of them file for me? It's a 14-year process for siblings. And if you're here in the US, you've already overstayed and you file an I-130, that could put you at risk for notice to appear. So you'd have to be prepared to leave the country and come back in, 14 years. All right, that's going to be it for me tonight. Thank you, everybody, for your time and your questions. I will be back tomorrow where I will answer questions again. So, what I always say, make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow. That is how you'll see when I come on live. And also, other people will start to see this information that empowers immigrants through their immigration journey. So go ahead and do that. And then tomorrow you can catch me live again and we can go through questions. I can give you updates. All right. If you want to schedule an appointment, our schedules are filling out fast. So make sure you go to the link in the profile to schedule an appointment so we can talk about your options or how to make sure you're approaching your process carefully, whether it's citizenship, it's marriage, family based, T visa, U visa, asylum, everything now. No case is simple. Make sure you're getting the legal representation. We represent clients in all 50 states and the globe. So no matter where you are, we can help you. All right. Have a good night, everybody. And let's just keep the hope, keep the faith, and take action and keep moving forward. Have a good night. Bye bye.